Put that down. You can't afford it." The words tore through the boutique like a blade through silk, sharp, jagged, and impossible to ignore. The polished marble floor seemed to carry the echo, bouncing it back and forth between towering walls lined with gleaming mirrors and gold-trimmed shelves. Soft jazz that moments ago had floated gently in the air was now nothing but a faint ghost beneath the sting of the accusation. Every head turned. Shoppers froze mid-step, mid-gesture, mid-breath. The sound had been so loud, so deliberate, that even those near the entrance stopped, as if the world had skipped a beat. In the center of it all stood a black woman poised, composed, and radiant. Her presence undeniable. In her hand hung a gown as delicate as a whisper, as though she were cradling a dream she had waited her whole life to touch. But now the dream felt like it was dissolving in her grasp, under the weight of dozens of eyes that pierced her skin and searched for reasons to justify the insult they had just heard. Before we dive deep into the story, what country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. And if you believe dignity is worth more than diamonds, if you know that respect should be given freely to all, subscribe now and watch until the last moment. Because this story will show you that karma doesn't just wait for the right time. Sometimes it walks through the front door wearing quiet shoes, and by the time you hear it, it's already too late. Her name was Angela Moore. She was the first light in her family's history to burn this bright, the living embodiment of what relentless ambition can do. Raised in a cramped apartment with peeling paint and a refrigerator that hummed louder than the television, Angela learned early that nothing would be handed to her. Her childhood had been a balancing act between school, helping her mother, and protecting her younger siblings from the harsher edges of the world. She carried with her the memory of counting coins to buy bread, of sewing clothes by hand for school dances, of watching her mother stretch every dollar until it bent under the strain. Those years carved in her a resilience that no one could see at a glance, but which stood like steel beneath the surface. Her journey into entrepreneurship began not with investors or trust funds, but with a borrowed folding table and her grandmother's recipes. She catered small events, working from sunrise until midnight, transforming her tiny kitchen into a battlefield of flavor and hustle. From catering came event planning, and from event planning came the empire. She now owned a multi-city company that designed and executed events so breathtaking they became the stuff of magazine covers. On this day, Angela wasn't here to browse idly. She was here for a dress that would define a night, the charity gala she was not just attending, but sponsoring. The event would raise millions for education programs in underserved neighborhoods, the same kind of neighborhood where she had once dreamed of escape. Her choice of dress was more than fashion. It was a statement. But to the boutique's manager, none of that mattered. It unfolded in a way that stripped the warmth from the room. The manager's voice wasn't laced with subtlety. It was a weapon, wielded openly. It cut through the space, naming her as an outsider, a pretender, a trespasser in a realm supposedly reserved for the right kind of people. The words about wasting time dripped with contempt, as if the gown she held should be protected from her very touch. Angela felt the heat rise in her cheeks, but her spine remained straight. This was not her first brush with prejudice, but it was rare for it to be this public, this deliberate, this performative. The humiliation was amplified by the stage, the marble floors, the gilded mirrors, the discreet perfume of the wealthy floating in the air. Around her, the customers adjusted their stances, their glances, their breathing. Some leaned in slightly curious. Others tried to mask their interest, feigning attention to handbags or shoes while their eyes remained fixed on her. A young sales clerk moved swiftly, as though completing a distasteful task, plucking the gown from Angela's fingers. The delicate fabric seemed to sigh in protest as it left her grasp, replaced on the rack with calculated care. as though her touch had somehow diminished it. The message was unspoken but deafening. You don't belong here, not because of your money, but because of who you are. What the staff didn't know was that Angela's company had just finalized a multi-million-dollar deal with a major retail group. She was weeks away from deciding which businesses to support, which brands to elevate, and which to leave behind. And one of the competitors to this boutique had been quietly courting her investment for months. In that moment, they weren't just humiliating her. They were unknowingly closing a door on themselves, a door that would never be opened again. Angela's exit was silent, her heels clicking across the marble in measured, deliberate beats. Outside, the cold air met her like a cleansing wind, stripping away the suffocating perfume of condescension. She did not look back, not at the store, not at the gawking faces pressed against the glass. Her days in the following weeks were a whirlwind of preparation for the gala. Meetings stacked upon meetings, phone calls that stretched past midnight, contracts signed with a flourish of certainty. And in the background, there was always the faint memory of that day, not as a wound, but as a reminder. The rival boutique came back into her orbit, its owner reaching out again with warmth and vision. Angela visited in person this time. The difference was immediate. The light was softer here, the music warmer, the welcome genuine. Customers of all backgrounds moved easily between racks, greeted with smiles that held no agenda but service. Angela spent hours walking through the store, noting the attention to detail, the care given to presentation and people alike. She agreed to invest, but not just with money, with mentorship, with her network, with the kind of influence that could transform a local shop into a regional name. Meanwhile, rumors began to ripple through the city's fashion circles. People whispered about the boutique that had made a scene with the wrong customer. Social media posts began surfacing, recounting stories not just Angela's incident, but others, similar in tone. The boutique's pristine image was starting to crack, hairline fractures that widened with each passing week. Angela said nothing publicly. She didn't need to. Sometimes, silence is not absence, it's anticipation. It happened faster than anyone expected. One Friday morning, the boutique's heavy glass doors stayed locked. A paper sign taped to the inside announced they were closed for inventory. By Monday, the sign changed to closed until further notice. Through the glass, the displays were sparse. Mannequins stood stripped and hollow, their glossy eyes staring out at nothing. The once buzzing sales floor was a graveyard of empty shelves and discarded hangers. Within days, until further notice, became for lease. Staff members came and went in a slow, defeated procession, carrying boxes filled with the remnants of a business that had once strutted with pride. The same sales clerk who had yanked the gown from Angela's hands now loaded her car with discount store bags and leftover inventory. Angela saw it all in passing, her driver slowing just enough for her to glimpse the hollow shell of arrogance undone. She felt no triumph that demanded words, no need for public vindication. Instead, she let the reality speak for itself. The rival boutique she had invested in was thriving, bursting with customers, its racks rich with fabrics and colors that celebrated rather than excluded. Every dress sold there carried not just craftsmanship, but a story that respect is never optional. Businesses don't just fall because of numbers. They fall because of values. When you treat people like they matter, your business grows beyond transactions. It grows into a legacy. But when you treat people like they're beneath you, the walls you've built will crumble from the inside. Angela never plotted revenge. She simply invested in what she believed in. And the return on that investment was far greater than profit. It was proof that dignity outlasts insult, and that the quiet strength of a wronged person can echo louder than any public fight. Respect is the currency the world should run on, and once you spend it recklessly, you'll never be able to buy it back. So if this story resonated, subscribe now, because the next one will show you how a single moment of arrogance can cost someone far more than they ever imagined. And trust me, you won't want to miss the ending.